Cold open questions of the week. Question one, Myriah. If you were Clark Kent's parent, if you were Martha Kent, let's say, would you let him play high school football? This is sort of the Elastigirl question. Would you let Dash from The Incredibles go out for track? That sort of thing.
I think the bigger question that Clark answers in this episode is, can I stop him from playing football? So no, I would not let him, and also no, I could not stop him. So what are
Yeah,
you gonna do?
he even says that, which I thought was pretty bold and out of character for him, but he was right. Like, you can't stop me.
Yeah.
Good
And
point.
they didn't stop him. Like he was not stopped.
Yeah. Second question, cold open question, which I don't know if it's cold anymore. I don't know. Anyway, is the torch torched a great headline, a terrible joke, or exactly the kind of thing Clark would be proud of saying to Chloe?
It has to be C, the type of thing Clark would be proud of saying to Chloe, because from a journalistic perspective, the torch really doesn't give me a lot. Like, while it does imply the bigger idea that the torch caught on fire, there's a lot more questions that are going to follow, and there was no actual torch. So I would say that's more of like a fluff headline than an actual headline, but the kind of thing that a high school Clark Kent would think is funny.
Watching these episodes back, I feel like everything Clark says to Chloe, he thinks is hilarious. And because she's so in love with him, she's like, it's kind of hilarious, but not.
Because she's also sassy. So
Yeah, tough balance there. If your high school third question, if your high school football coach had a private kryptonite sauna, what would be the first red flag? That the coach has a private sauna in his office? The green steam coming from the sauna? Or that the Alumni Association is paying for a high school football coach to have an active private sauna in the high school?
I'm going to say, just from a woman's perspective, I hope and pray that whenever I have children and I send them to a high school, that all of their teachers stay fully dressed on campus, period. All of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
So having the sauna maybe in his home, then okay. But to me, like the biggest red flag, like I don't want your coach naked anywhere where you could access him. Thank you.
Yeah.
So, um, also I did have a question with the green steam for you. Is it actually green steaming or is that just for like dramatic effect? Like, is anyone like, why is the fire green? Because I don't know a lot about science, but I think it's not green. So,
Yeah, so this is one of my big questions too that I don't have a good answer for because I was wondering the same thing. Like, does he know that there's meteor rock in it? Does
or is
he
it just that
care?
we know? Like, yeah.
Well, welcome back everybody to another episode of Torch Talk, a Smallville Rewatch podcast. As always, I'm Jeremiah, joined, like always, by Myriah. I realized in hindsight when I uploaded all the podcast feeds to everywhere you can find us, Apple Podcast, Amazon, Spotify, etc. I realized that a lot of people are discovering our podcast thinking we are a Survivor rewatch podcast because of Torch Talk,
Of course, that
Torch
makes sense. Yeah.
instead of The Torch,
Yeah.
which at least gets a nice big reference or two in this episode. So, welcome back to Torch Talk, a Smallville, not Survivor, rewatch podcast.
Love it.
We want to remind you, even though we're brand spanking new as a podcast, that you can now message us on Instagram at Smallville Rewatch, and you can email us at smallvillerewatch at yahoo.com. Today we are watching, we've already watched it. Today we are talking about Smallville Season 1, Episode 3, Hothead, which originally aired October 30th, 2001. This was the first episode of the show to be directed by Greg Beeman. He would go on to direct every season premiere and season finale until the fourth season, and they brought him back to direct the last episode of Smallville, the finale part two. So he's sort of their ace card. It's like we want a good director. Greg Beeman's going to come on. He's going to do this one. This is his first one, and I think you can tell that this is very well directed. And when they want those big ratings for the premiere and for the finale, this is who they got to direct. Also, some trivia before we begin our recap. I thought this was interesting and a little sad. There's an interview with Annette O'Toole, which I can try to link to in the show notes, that said that she remembers this as the episode they were filming when 9/11 happened.
Wow.
And she had to have her husband drive to Vancouver because all the planes were grounded. And during the car journey, they wrote the songs for A Mighty Wind, which eventually gives them an Academy Award nomination for Best Music, Best Original Song. So, some tragedy in the middle of the filming of this, but like all bad things, some good things came out of it in the end.
That's wild. I guess I don't understand TV enough to understand how you just film an episode and then get it aired a month and a half later. Like in my head, there should be a little bit more time. So that's wild to me is my biggest takeaway there. But maybe I should study
Yeah,
the TV more and
I,
how.
I thought the same thing. I was like, is that source that's like I think on the Smallville fandom wiki, is that credible? Because that's like 8 weeks after.
Yeah, like that.
And I guess if they finish filming, they can edit it in 8 weeks.
There was just a lot of fire in that episode to just get wrapped up well. But kudos to
I
them.
don't know the production. I know that, you know, they film an episode in like a week. But yeah, it seemed really fast to me too. So take that bit of trivia with a grain of salt for sure.
I'll do that.
Okay, are we ready to get into the recap?
I'm ready. Let's recap it.
Okay, season one, episode three, Hothead begins with Coach Walt Arnold, the legendary Smallville High football coach, played by Dan Lauria. He's best known as the dad from the Wonder Years, which was on TV for like 5 years, like 100 episodes. It is a classic of its era. So he was a moderately famous kind of get for them in this early season of Smallville. Coach Arnold is pushing the Crows toward what would be his 200th career win, which matters way more than I think it should in the episode. After the game, he relaxes in his private sauna. It's not weird at all for a high school coach to have a private sauna in his office. A gift from the Alumni Association after his 20 years of service. But his sauna rocks, coals, I don't know anything about saunas, are contaminated with kryptonite. The principal shows up and tells Coach that he has found that 7 players cheated on their math midterm, which makes them ineligible for the final game of the season. Coach Arnold begs Principal Kwan to keep it quiet until the end of the season, but Kwan refuses. Furious, the coach slams his desk and accidentally sets it on fire with his anger.
I need to correct you. He did not
Okay.
beg Principal Kwan. He literally just told him, just sweep this under the rug. Like he just thought the Principal Kwan would bow to him, and I'm thankful he did not. I don't like bullies.
Yeah, because he's like, you've been here like 6 months, I've been here 25 years. Yeah, he's totally thinking of himself as superior in every single way.
Yeah, wild.
I also thought that the opening sequence, which didn't make my recap of everybody's playing football in the rain and he's being an angry football coach, it looks great. It looks cinematic. Somebody, I guess Greg Beeman, loves football or understands the aesthetics of football. And it's like, oh, somebody tried like really hard when it could have just been any footage of teenagers in football uniforms and it would have been okay. It's like this is pretty epic stuff for the cold open of Smallville in
Yes.
the pouring rain.
Especially since the main character isn't even in that scene. Like they put a lot of effort into something that Clark's not even around for.
That's true. That's true. There's no main characters there. You could be watching any show. Maybe that was part of the appeal. The show's new enough that we can hook people who happen to
Maybe.
tune in. I don't know. Principal Kwan leaves after refusing to cover up the cheating, and Coach Arnold realizes that somehow he started a fire with his anger.
Okay, so we come back from the first commercial break and we see Chloe, Pete, and Clark arriving at Smallville High. If you're a music person, like apparently Jeremiah is, because I might be reading some of his notes with a Gorilla's needle drop. So Chloe has published her latest Torch article, Football, Sport, or Abuse. Don't ask my opinion on that. Calling out Coach Arnold's abusive methods. And she's already getting hate mail, as she would, because people love football. She tells Clark that that means that she's hitting a nerve. That is also true. And a football player retaliates by throwing a ball at Chloe right at her camera, but Clark catches it and throws it back hard enough to impress Coach Arnold. He also gets a nice grunt from the football player. I think that's good to note because I like justice.
Yeah,
Um,
I thought they handled that pretty well. That's that kid's only scene in the episode. It's like, good job. You look
yeah,
like that hurt to catch the football.
yeah,
Give him an
as it
Oscar.
should, as it
Give him
should.
an Oscar. I guess it's
Maybe,
an Emmy because it's
yeah.
television. Anyway,
Come back to that. Okay, so because seven players are suspended, Coach Arnold is scraping the bottom of the barrel and he recruits Clark for the team. That recruitment went back and forth. There's a lot of bullying where he's just telling him to be his own man, that he has to do this, even though Clark knows his dad is not going to want him to do this. Meanwhile, Lana is super duper pissed that Whitney does not seem bothered by his teammates cheating on the midterm. There's a whole thing, and whereas Lana makes it completely about them and then says it's not about them, kind of goes back and forth. I don't know what they were doing with that scripting there, but it was fine. So then we go back into the Kent home, and Jonathan absolutely refuses to let Clark play because he's afraid that Clark could seriously hurt someone because he's Superman. But Clark wants a normal teenage experience and decides he's playing anyway, like a normal teenager, except for with superpowers. We end this entire segment with Clark telling Jonathan he's gonna play anyway, and he can't stop him. Which, by the way, where did Clark get the toot? I don't know, but I kind of think it's hot. So
well, we'll not unpack that too much today. But I had a feeling that you'd be into it. One thing I really thought was interesting is I guess Smallville has an amazing football team. A high school football team only going to play about 10 games a season. So that's like 8 wins a year for every year for 25 years.
and look at that.
Who
It's all
knows? Who knows?
corn or kryptonite. I don't know.
I guess. And you know, it's part of apparently the Kent family legacy is, you know, Clark's dad played and his grandpa played and he wants to play too.
Yeah, makes sense.
You know, I thought Jonathan's line, you were meant for much more important things than winning football games. I'm just really, maybe it's because I'm the age that Jonathan Kent is now. When I was watching it the first time, I was Clark's age. Now I'm Jonathan's age. I'm totally right there with him. I'm like, you have such good advice. I'm right there with you. I would struggle with this too, Jonathan Kent. You are such a wise, compassionate man who's trying to do the best for your kid. Um, I also like that they make fun of the school newspaper a lot in this sort of second segment where Pete, who gets nothing to do in the episode, by the way, even though he's on the football team, I don't understand. Anyway, makes fun of Chloe. It's like, do you think my teammates read the Torch? Like, no one's reading the high school newspaper.
Yeah.
Also, we might unpack this in my big questions segment later. But who is Chloe's newspaper advisor? Who's going to let a high school journalist publish, even if it's a totally an opinion piece, an article about football being abuse?
Here's the
I
thing.
love to see the journalism freedom played out even in a fictional standpoint, but there's no way any high school that has a successful football program would let that be the cover story of the high school newspaper.
Well, we would take away all the fun, like you do in journalism in general, whenever you have to run your ideas by the people who fund this. So I'm okay with Chloe getting to do what she wants because none of us do. So let's let Chloe have this.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Speaking of letting people have it, Lana really lets Whitney have it. Why is she so upset? He didn't cheat on the midterm. He stays on the team after they cheat on the
This may
midterm,
be
and
the
he,
most accurate portrayal of like a 14 or 15-year-old girl because she's just all over the place this episode and Like all of a sudden, she's just so ragey about having to be a cheerleader, so ragey about the ethics of her boyfriend, so clumsy. Like that might be the only time we've actually portrayed Lana as a 14 or 15-year-old girl because she's just all over the place.
Yeah, and she's like, "This is the new me."
Yep, like
It's like,
completely reinvents herself as a waitress, which
this is episode 3. Did we even know who the old you was? I don't know.
also, can I just say, she said something about, I want to find out what I'm good at, which is funny because of all the characters, she's the only one who doesn't really like develop a skill. She just develops. And so, like, did you ever
She's
find
good at
that out?
riding horses, but they
Yeah,
sort of get rid of that
yeah,
as a
she
character
doesn't touch a
trait.
horse again, like until like season 6, I think. So I don't, I don't
Like,
know.
didn't they just talk about how many ribbons she had? And I don't know. It was
But
weird.
that's her only skill now is being a cheerleader. They made her into the stupid cheerleader instead of.
And
And also,
being mad
why
at
does it
Whitney.
have to be dumb? Like that. That's a like. Why does it have to be the stereotype that they're just these airheads? They're not. It's a sport.
And
It's a
like,
like.
I mean, I had friends that cheated on tests in high school, and while I did not cheat with them, I wasn't like mad at them for it.
Oh, we are
It's their
different people.
choice.
Oh,
It's
we are
their
different
choice.
people. Nope. If you're gonna cheat and I have to work for it, you better believe I'm taking you down. So, and if other people do not agree with me taking, I could see Lana's rage. It just seems misplaced a
This is
little
the
bit.
only time I'm sympathetic for Whitney, maybe the entire show. I'm
I
like,
don't. I
chill
have
out,
no
Lana.
sympathy. There's no sympathy for Whitney. I don't even care whenever he's dead and he gets like taken over by someone else. Like I still have sympathy for Whitney.
Yeah. I think we're just gonna have to disagree on this.
We disagree a lot on the show, but at least
That's
we like the
okay.
show. So that's
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 okay.
part of what keeps us going for 3 episodes.
There's also a really good quote where Clark says, most parents would be happy if their son were the star football player. And Jonathan says, son, I'm happy when you wake up in the morning. That's exactly how I feel as a parent. I was like, yes, put that like on a bumper sticker or something, and I'll give it to my kid and be like, here, I'm proud of you because you're you. Like, it's very affirming. It's a very good parenting moment. Um, but also, that's the least thing you want to hear when you're however old Clark is, 15, 16.
Yep.
It doesn't
Just
help
doesn't
him
make.
not want to play football. But I thought, what a beautiful thing to say, Jonathan.
I mean, it was smart felt.
After that commercial break, we see Lex meeting with Luthor Corp representatives at the mansion. He clashes, as you might expect, with Lionel's representatives over the Smallville fertilizer plant. The plant is underperforming and they want Lex to cut jobs, but Lex argues for hiring more workers and improving productivity instead. Meanwhile, Lana quits the cheerleading squad officially because she's disillusioned with the football team's cheating scandal and insists that she is now going to find her own path. We talked about that a little bit in the previous segment. Clark goes to his first football practice while Jonathan watches from the bleachers to, quote, make sure nobody gets hurt, even though he gets up and leaves as soon as Clark starts playing. Clark ends up using his abilities to dominate the practice, which, as you might imagine, deepens Jonathan's concern. Also, in this segment, Principal Quan tells Coach Arnold that one of the players has confessed that the coach gave him the math test, and the principal decides he's going to take the matter to the school board. Dun dun dun. Coach Arnold retaliates by using his fire powers on Principal Quan's car, but Clark, being at the right place at the right time, as he always is, sees the car burning, rips open the door, and pulls Principal Quan out before it explodes. Yes, another car explosion in Smallville. But we end, as you might expect, yet again, another segment right before commercial, Clark pulling someone from an exploding car just in the nick of time.
Also, I think it should be noted that Clark is getting so used to the car explosions that he just knows how to shield someone's entire body from the car explosion, which is impressive for a teenage boy to just be like, yeah, this is another day in Smallville. The car's gonna explode. I got you.
It's muscle memory at this point. Just rip the door off the hinges, grab the person, turn to the side. It's old hat.
Yeah, obviously.
And I don't think we're supposed to know how much time passed in between each episode, but it's like, oh, I did this last week and the week before that. So,
Right.
no
Like
big
how
deal.
many cars can explode before like the government sends someone in to investigate this city? But like people sometimes flood land so that way they can build their water, their lakes and stuff. I'm sorry, it's late at night because I normally know the word for lake. Anyway, I'm gonna
No,
say that again. People sometimes flood land to like build lakes or reservoirs. Like we could have done that in Smallville and like saved all of this, but nope. Okay. It's fine. I don't think that's ethical, but they do it, so why not do it here? Can I say though, real quick, that can we talk about how Jonathan Kent, you kind of touched on it. He's like, I'm here to make sure no one gets hurt. And then he just gets mad and leaves before anyone has a chance to get hurt. Like, if you were there, like, were you there to actually watch him play? Because it seems like you might have been. And then you got mad that he actually played. So,
yeah, I get the vibe that it's sort of a little test. Like I'm going to show up, and then Clark's going to feel bad, and he's going to leave with me. And he says, "Okay," and goes in to put his helmet on and listen to the coach. Jonathan doesn't have anything else to do, so he leaves. Because he definitely doesn't
yeah.
stay there to make sure no one gets hurt. He sees Clark plow through like six guys and score a touchdown, and he goes, "Okay, I'm
Mhm.
leaving." Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. Also, keep in mind that Principal Kwan also walked in while he was reviewing this, like the game tape or the
Yeah, the
practice
game
tape.
tape. Yeah,
Clark is midair, like midair, fully controlled, and that never comes back up in this at all. Like he's like, "Wow, that kid has some moves." No, he's in the air. Like kids don't go in the air generally unless there may be something else going on here.
yeah. He just thought he was a gifted athlete like his father, even though Clark did say he was adopted.
Yeah,
So who knows?
that goes when we talk about favorite quotes, I didn't even get deeper than that, by the way. Like
Yeah,
I
yeah.
love making people feel uncomfortable. It's like my hobby. I have a dead parent and I do that all the time and I'm like it's just my favorite. So if I were adopted, I'd also use that all the time.
I'll keep that in mind because
So
yikes.
yeah, it's
Um,
my favorite.
I also really liked, speaking of favorites, that Lex is very snarky, very overconfident with all of the representatives. Like when the
Mhm.
one guy leaves, he's like, "Tell your sister I said hi." Like it's like, oh, like I don't
Yeah,
know, I don't know. I just like that he's like kind of a bad guy already here and not intimidated by anyone. He also
it's good.
calls the fertilizer plant a crap factory, which I thought
Yep,
was a joke I invented in the last episode of the podcast. Turns out it's right there actually in the
it's
Smallville
good.
dialogue. So no points for me after all for crap factory jokes, but
Yeah, you
we'll give
enjoy
that
it.
one to Lex.
Yeah.
And I think we can go on to the next segment if
Okay.
you want to.
So we come back from that commercial break, and we have Martha and Jonathan discussing their concerns about Clark while they stand at the Kent farm. At dinner, Clark and Jonathan argue about football again, with Clark insisting he proved he can play without hurting anyone, and Jonathan still worried about what could happen if Clark loses control or gets exposed. Martha coming in and just smoothing everything over as Martha always does. She's a
The
saint.
Peacekeeper.
Yeah, that's who she is. She later reminds Jonathan that they have to start trusting Clark, or they will risk pushing him away, and he could literally go to another planet, apparently. So you don't want to push a kid like that away. She didn't say that. That was me. Chloe, Clark, and Pete go to the beanery where Lana has started waiting tables very poorly. Chloe follows the suspended players to the football field and secretly photographs Coach Arnold confronting Trevor. During the confrontation, the coach's anger causes the sprinklers to shoot fire. The next day, Lionel Luthor arrives and challenges Lex over the future of the plant. Again in his house, not at the plant, because we don't even see the plant yet. Like, why are we always in his house? How does he, like, he just works from home. Leading to a fencing match that makes it clear that Lex is still playing by his father's rules. At the pep rally, Coach Arnold threatens Trevor after learning Chloe has evidence against him, then targets Chloe directly by setting the torch office on fire while she's working on the story. That scene ends as Clark arrives and saves Chloe from the burning torch office.
Lucky he arrived just in time again.
Just in time. Also, that he could see the torch from the football field, knew to look toward the torch office.
You just
And
happened to look at the moment she was like,
yeah,
"Hey,
and then
Clark,"
she got back to the window. It was very fortuitous. So
and only yells to Clark, not Pete, not "Hey, everybody."
also not
Clark.
911 or just help in general. Help Clark. Maybe you've been friends with someone with superpowers that long, you just sense they're gonna come.
I guess. I
Sometimes
mean,
big
he had already
sisters.
saved Lex and Whitney both in the same week,
Yeah.
hypothetically. So maybe it's just like he's good at this. I thought the Lionel and Lex fencing scene was wonderful. Lionel comes across as the alpha male as he should at this point in the series. I just love seeing them together. They both really like to overact at times, and so it's good to see them
It,
together, just chewing the scenery, pretending that they are reading Shakespeare when they are reading lines about a fertilizer factory. It's great. Um, and like we already said, by this point, Clark has saved Lex from a car, Whitney from his truck, and Principal Quan from his car. I was surprised, not by any of the heroics, but instead surprised by how mean Chloe was in the scene where they go to the beanery and she sees Lana waiting tables. Um,
like,
and
is
I
it
didn't
Myriah?
know, like, I understand that she's sort of jealous of Lana for a variety of reasons, but she's so mean.
I think it was a prerequisite for every early 2000s drama show for them to, like, one of the main characters just viscerally hate a cheerleader, and then without any real transition for them to be buddies. Like, I think that was just kind of how it happened, and if that scene didn't happen, did you even have a show?
Yeah, yeah, because you do have to set the characters up against each other, even if they are
But then you
not.
gotta reconcile them real quick to get the plot going. Like it,
Right, right. But we need the contrast there.
yeah.
Speaking of contrast, Lana's box is just terrible. I think it's her only line in the episode. Don't be sorry, just be faster. Like, I would quit the coffee shop that day.
I'm
Like,
gonna
it's
go help
just
Aunt.
coffee. It's
Yeah.
just coffee. I understand you want it to be warm and not cold,
And
but
also,
come
like, waiting 5 minutes, like that's a pretty standard amount of time to wait, like especially at like a long coffee shop, like for a drink. Like it's not fun, but it's 5 minutes. Like go play checkers. Y'all don't have smartphones yet. Like you'll be okay.
yeah, it's strange. Um, I really thought the torch being on fire was a really good action sequence. It seemed like Allison Mack at least did a little bit of the stunt work herself because there's one point where I didn't go frame by frame or anything, but it seems to be her taking off the hoodie when it's like on fire. Now, the big scene is clearly a stunt double doing like a somersault and stuff, but they give her at least
Yeah.
3 seconds of her hoodie being on fire, I think.
Yes.
I thought it looked great.
Yeah.
I'm really confused by the next scene when the fire is out and there's no fire department. Everybody's wearing the same clothes, but we'll talk about that in a minute. I have some early 2000s questions for you because I don't know. One thing I noticed is like 2001 era is like peak cappuccino era. Like everybody's ordering a cappuccino,
Hey,
talking about cappuccino because
when did
that
the
was the coffee
cappuccinos
drink of
go?
choice. That was like the fancy coffee drink.
When did a latte take over cappuccino though? Like I
I
actually
think,
thought that as well. I'm like, when's the last time I just ordered a cappuccino? I'm gonna go order one.
right. Yeah, I don't know. I think a few years later, but this was like peak cappuccino era. Also, this is more of a college question for you, so you got to think back.
Okay.
But when Lana drops the tray and everybody in the restaurant claps, I have very vivid memories of that just being a thing in the early 2000s. If somebody dropped something in like the college cafeteria, everybody would applaud. Is that still a thing now? Is that just a weird thing that we did because we didn't have cell phones yet? I don't know.
I just, especially the guy who has a
But I was
crush on
like,
her.
oh my gosh, I have so many memories of people dropping stuff and people clapping.
And
That's weird.
I didn't go to public school after fourth grade, so maybe like it was different in like my 20 kid like Christian school, but like I like her crush is right there. Like he has a crush on her. Would you not be scrambling to go help her? Or wild, but like he's Superman. He could have studied that tray and been out of there, like and saved her. There's he can save lives. You could have saved the tray, Clark. But I mean, Also, if I dropped, that's probably why I never waited tables because I knew I would be like that. Because if I did that and people clapped for me, I don't know if I'd be here today to talk about it. So
Yeah,
I,
like I'll tell you firsthand, if you're the person that drops the tray, you want to die in that moment when everyone's clapping.
yeah, I'm sorry you dropped a tray because I mean, I've dropped my fair share, but like, and I may have dropped a tray, but at least not like I didn't get paid to drop a tray. I'll just say that. Like,
Gotcha. It gives me very much Friends vibes. There's a whole episode of Friends where Rachel is getting a job as a
yeah,
waitress for the first time and she can't get
uh-huh.
anybody's orders right. And
Yeah,
this seems very much in that same
yeah.
tradition. After the next commercial break, we return to Chloe and Clark in the Torch office after the fire. Clark says, "The torch, how's that for dramatic irony?" I'm also, like I mentioned, unclear how much time has passed, but the fire is out. Chloe explains that she thinks Coach Arnold is responsible for the cheating and the strange fires, but now she has lost her proof. Clark decides that they need to find this Trevor guy. Meanwhile, at the beanery, a little bit later, Lex is there talking with Lana. Clark arrives. They have a conversation as well. Lex wrestling with Lionel's demand that he cut workers from the plant. Seeing Clark and Lana both stand up to the expectations that were placed on them pushes Lex to reconsider how he wants to handle his own father. A little bit later, we see Clark find Trevor hiding in his garage with fire extinguishers all around him. Trevor admits that Coach Arnold gave the players the math test and shows Clark the burn on his arm that looks like a handprint. Clark therefore goes to confront Coach Arnold at the school sauna, but the kryptonite contaminated rocks, coals, whatever, weaken Clark, which allows Coach Arnold to overpower him, lock him inside, and leave him as he heads to the football game. This segment ends with Coach Arnold leaving Clark inside the kryptonite field sauna. Dramatic ending to this segment, and we go to commercial.
So I would say if you're gonna hide from a maniac who has fire powers, keeping a lot of like fire extinguishers around you isn't the dumbest thing that kid had ever done. Um, I mean, I might go to like a firehouse and tell them what's happening, but other than that, like that's a pretty, or maybe just a public pool or like the ocean. But other than that, like I would say, and they're pretty landlocked, so that's not that wasn't the worst. Also, my head's wrapping around this billionaire that moves into town and then goes to hang out at the beanery. Like, I'm just trying to put Lex, who is so new to Smallville, in Smallville, and I'm like, that doesn't seem like that's what he'd be doing. But I'm not Lex, and maybe he needed the coffee to run the crap factory.
Because he does have all like his folders and like paperwork from the office he brought with him to the beanery. He's going to work from the coffee shop like an aspiring writer, only he's running the local fertilizer plant, trying to decide which workers to cut. Why don't I have a cappuccino at the beanery while I make this choice? Why not?
I do want to visit the kryptonite contaminated rocks. So like because lead should be the only thing that like blocks it. But he's
Right.
in a wood sauna. And like it's like Clark doesn't get a warning. Like, like I don't know what kryptonite feels like, but you would feel like maybe he gets a little bit of it and then he's like, "Oh no, there's kryptonite," and he can walk away. Instead, with that much kryptonite, it just hits him all of a sudden. And like I know it has to make any of the kryptonite work or else Clark could just walk away once he senses it, but like bam, whenever like you didn't feel any of that before, I just feel like he could. He would. I
Yeah.
don't know. Or is it like an allergy? Like, oh no, I got near pollen and now I'm dead. Or is
That's
it like getting near fire? Like I'm getting
I
warmer.
imagine it's more like an allergy.
Okay.
Where you're like, oh no, there was peanut butter in that. Where's my
Okay.
EpiPen sort of situation?
Okay.
Only kryptonite. There's no EpiPen. So
That makes more sense.
I don't know. I don't know. Big question. Also, we'll talk about it in the next segment. But I'm so confused that this high school football game is happening in the middle of broad daylight. They even make a reference to Friday Night Lights. You don't have high school football games in the sunny afternoon, but whatever. Coach is at least briefly preoccupied with the game. We'll see that change in the next segment.
Yeah. Okay. So we come back from this next segment and we are at the scene of the final football game of the season. So the game starts, but Clark is missing. So Jonathan realizes something is wrong and goes looking for him. That's probably appropriate. He finds Clark trapped in the sauna, breaks him out, and helps him recover. Coach Arnold sees that the Kents are gone and goes to see what's happening. And he attacks Jonathan, but Clark gets his strength back in time to confront him in this dramatic way with his hand going back to normal. Coach Arnold's anger finally consumes him, and he loses control of his fire powers and burns himself up. Afterwards, Lex defies Lionel by keeping the plant workers and cutting operating costs instead. Lionel is furious, but Lex stands by his decision. Clark reconciles with Jonathan. A lot comes together in this last bit. Listen. So Clark reconciles with Jonathan, who explains that he does trust Clark. He doesn't. But being a parent means being afraid for him. Later, Clark meets Lana on the football field, where he has quit the team and she has lost her job at the beanery, but still does not want to go back to cheerleading. They both admit they want to be something more than what people expect them to be. The scene ends as Lana says sometimes she just wants to scream, and Clark says, "Why don't we?" This is an iconic scene. I've actually tried to recreate this just in my life. They scream together across the empty football field, ending the episode on a sweet Clark and Lana moment. One of very many that actually happens as a sweet Clark and Lana moment.
Yeah, I thought it was a great moment that um, is strangely flirty, even though there's nothing really flirtatious about it. I forgot that this was at this episode because this is like a core Smallville
It
memory.
is. I thought it was later, and I'm like, oh wait,
Because
we got to do this here. Yeah.
because it seems like if you're like trying to make a move, like that's a pretty innocent move to make. Let's just scream together if we're
Yeah.
mad,
Yeah.
and then you have this nice bonding moment. So I remember watching it thinking, with no person in mind, unfortunately, thinking like I should try that.
Yeah.
Seems like
I mean,
that would be an in
it,
with your crush if you could get
I
them
mean,
to
it
scream
really
together.
would. Like, honestly, I just personally, as someone who has been like, I have to go somewhere and scream, and I like the loud noises, like, I want to go scream in a field. I remember being in Atlanta and being like, I want to go scream in a field, and looking at my roommate at the time, but we couldn't figure out what field to go to where we weren't like just really trespassing, so we didn't do it. So I just,
But you wanted to. The thought was there.
yeah, yeah.
Very therapeutic, I'm sure, just to physically let it out.
Yeah, yeah. Like that would work. But also like they it was after a game, so how alone were they? Like people
I don't know,
probably
because it seemed pretty deserted. They just like both happened to hang around
also I
the
think
football
at that
field.
point like the fire marshal would have been called. Probably the game would have been over. The building would have been closed for a day or so, but well, I guess we had to move on too
Yeah,
quickly to make the episode happen.
and there should be like state police showing up to investigate the coach that's burned himself alive during what was supposed to be his 200th
Yeah.
win. But oh well. Um, I thought it was really strange, and I know they gotta, they only get like I don't know 50 minutes or so with commercials. But when Coach comes back to his office, he immediately like hits Jonathan Kent with a fire extinguisher, like in the head. It's like he lost it, and obviously he has a temper. That's what the whole episode is about. But like immediately, like he saved the kid from the sauna, and you're like, I'll just hit the dad too. Like you are committing. Like you can probably get away with locking a kid in the sauna, and it's his story versus your story. You hit Jonathan Kent with a fire extinguisher in the back of the head. That's a line in the sand. You're not coming back from that. You're not keeping that high school coaching job anymore.
Well, also your fingerprints are burned on the forearm of another child, so I think he's just done for.
I think he lost it out of nowhere, which was kind of weird.
Well, but
Speaking of,
it's meteor rock. Like that makes him lose it. Like,
does it make you crazy?
yeah, because remember some of them like are less crazy once they're not meteor freaks.
I guess that's true, right? Like Jeremy in the first episode is like, "Oh,
Yeah.
I want to go home." Like, okay,
Yeah.
okay. I thought when he, I guess, burns himself alive, he's standing in front of a banner, coach, and standing in front of a banner that says "Visualize winning," which I just want to have as a banner in my office because it doesn't really even make sense, but it's great visual irony, and I think this is another weird ending, right, where we can't have Clark punch him in the face or like run him to a jail cell, so he just burns himself up, and
And
that's it.
have you ever wondered if, like, later in life, Clark had to go to therapy?
Oh, he had to.
Yeah.
He had
Okay.
to. I mean,
Just a
I
little.
imagine in the lore that he talks to his parents in the Fortress of Solitude, and that's sort of his free therapy. I
But
don't know.
they weren't
That's how I
trained. They
always
were only
imagine it.
smart because they were from another planet. Like,
Yeah, they're not going to be good at it, but they'll
yeah.
listen.
Okay. I just, that's a lot to process. Like seeing someone be burned alive in front of you because he was so angry at you because you got out of a sauna.
It's no problem for Lana to process though, because she was just like, "Yeah, that's weird. Weird what happened to the coach. Oh well, we won. Still not going to be a cheerleader."
Well, she saw her parents literally burned alive by a,
And she got fired from the coffee shop. That's way more traumatic to her than finding out
right?
someone
Of
has
course. Yeah,
killed himself in the
of course.
locker
Yeah.
room. And now we go to the lightning round. We start with some of my big questions. A lot of these we've already covered along the way. Here's a question I have though that we didn't talk about. Why is the pep rally that they go to basically a tiny bonfire? There's like 30 kids there. I know Smallville is not a big town, but usually you fill a gymnasium or a football field or something like that. The stands are full of people. I understand they wanted a fire to be there, but they couldn't find enough extras, or I don't know.
And yeah, I don't. And the fire makes sense. The pep rally didn't feel like a, like you watch your high school movies and the pep rally is like the whole episode, but here it's just a little fire. So I have no answers for that big question.
Um,
Oh, I have a big question to
okay,
ask.
good, 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 good.
Um, so we put on the whole fencing garb, but no face protection. I've never fenced. Is that normal? Because to me, you can recover an arm a lot easier than an eyeball. So, um, should we not have worn our little face guards?
I think the actors wanted to be seen fencing on television. I think from a production standpoint, we can figure that out very quickly. The fencing probably would have been better if we could have put some body doubles who are experienced in fencing, but it's just so you can see them.
Okay. I just
Yeah, it's not the
it
safest
made me
choice.
nervous the whole time. Like, and I've seen this before many times, but I was nervous for their faces. Like they both have pretty like average nice faces. Like you might not have that after this.
Right. Lex already lost his hair prematurely.
Yeah, like let him keep his eyeballs, but
He's gonna have a big scar on his
yeah.
face, and then he'll get a new nickname or something. It would be bad. Yeah, they should be wearing protective gear. Um, we talked about this a little bit, but I want to ask you again anyway. Why is it so hard to believe that Lana is a waitress? Is she rich? Is she stuck up? I don't I don't understand. She doesn't give off that vibe so far, but even Lex, who doesn't know her, is surprised to see her waiting tables.
I
I
I
mean, they
am
own
not
horses, so they're
sure.
not poor because you don't have a stable of horses if
Yeah.
you're broke.
And I mean, like it I am really not sure how they're trying to develop Lana. Like I see who they're making Lana into, but it's almost like this is the pilot season because they're just not really sure what they're doing with Lana. They give her more than they give Pete, so at least she gets more than Pete does.
Yeah,
But she
that
just she's a she is whoever they need her to be in that episode. And so they need her to be like a spoiled brat, but she's being raised by a single aunt, so she's not gonna be a spoiled brat. Like,
yeah. I don't understand that. There's nothing about her that suggests that to me. So it's
yeah,
weird.
yeah,
It's weird that you're like, Lana Lang is waiting tables. Like, okay.
okay, yeah. She
But
wanted.
it's big stuff. Also, you touched on this already, but why doesn't Pete get to really say or do anything? He's on the football team. This is your chance for him to.
He's also wearing number 23, and I'm not even a sports person, but you're significant anytime you're wearing 23. And he is just not, yeah.
Some of these
I
actors, as we go through season one, I feel bad for, and the guy who plays Pete, I'm very sympathetic because I feel like he never really got a chance to shine.
I'm like, I wonder if it's Sam Jones, right? Sam Jones the
Yeah,
third, is
yeah,
that who?
yeah.
I
That's right.
wonder
That's
if
right.
he at any point was like, what are they going to do with me here? Or if he was just happy to be there. Because I think I would have questioned, like, is my episode going to get cut in season three? Probably, because not my episode. Is my character going to get cut in season three? Because maybe.
Yeah, Sam Jones the third is the guy's name, and they do sort of, and we're getting ahead of ourselves, of course. Let him be the first to find out Clark's secret. So they give him a little
That's
bit to do there.
he did.
I,
And he
I
got back in a gum episode.
I
Like,
remember that gum episode. Last big question, at least from me. We talked about this a little bit earlier, but I thought you might have something else to share. How is Chloe allowed to publish football, sport, or abuse in The Torch in the high school newspaper? In a small town, football town, that article's getting shut down by the principal, maybe not this principal, definitely by the coach, the boosters, the alumni, and at least three angry parents before lunch even happens. How does this get through everybody?
mainly because the writers either did not write for a high school paper or were imagining a world where people have superpowers. You don't have to call 911, fire marshals don't shut down buildings, and no one is censoring Chloe.
That's fair. That's fair.
It's a fairy tale. It's a dream, but that's how she's getting by with this.
I think that's okay because the coach's powers are really unclear. Sometimes he can think about a fire. Sometimes he has to be present where there's already a fire. Sometimes he can touch you and start a fire. So, sure, she can have full journalistic freedom
Yeah,
at her high school.
yeah.
Love it. Love it. Let's see. Let's go on to some of the other lightning round questions, unless you got any other unanswerable questions for us to try to answer.
No, I don't. However, I do have a lot of unanswered lightning round ones. So some of these maybe I don't know. So we'll
That's
see.
okay. That's
Okay.
okay. Who won the episode? AKA which character had the best moment in this episode, Mariah?
I want to say to this Clark. I think Clark had just the best scenes, but I don't want to give him the episode every time. I'm going to give Chloe this one because Chloe was the only one that was like proactively solving this. So it's not maybe not the best scene, but like she was figuring out what was going on, the one that was gutsy enough to investigate it. The one who had the most personal cost besides Principal Kwan. So I think this one was Chloe because she got to actually have a really a storyline in this one that was very Chloe centric.
Yeah, yeah, she's really driving the plot in some ways. She has the most 2001 digital camera I've ever seen. It's like a brick, but she's using it to chase the story. And I'll say, at least in these early episodes, if Chloe was the one with superpowers, Clark would contribute nothing but a pretty face.
Yep,
So
yep,
she's lucky that he can help her because she's
yeah.
doing all the heavy lifting that
Yep.
um, is
Fair,
actual real like investigating.
fair. Can I ask the next two because I got nothing. So,
Sure.
what do you think aged the best?
I don't really know. I think the episode as a whole works. Like I don't see anything too out of place. Um, I think the opening really works with the rain and the football players. You don't even realize that you're watching Smallville. Just visually, I'm drawn into it. I know I talked about like the bright saturated color scheme, and that was kind of my answer for the pilot. But maybe just how it's shot. Like I don't often mention directors of TV episodes, but Greg Beeman does a fantastic job, I think, with this. So
Okay.
that's my answer for that.
Okay. I actually have a little bit of an answer for that one. I
Okay.
think it is the remote work that you pointed out. Like, I didn't even think about the fact that Lex was working from a coffee shop. But like that's a thing and that's been a thing and I think that aged the best.
Yeah,
Okay, Jeremiah, what age is the worst besides Chloe's camera?
maybe maybe the cappuccino. Like I think they reference a cappuccino 3 times
Yeah.
as the
Milk
drink of
latte,
choice. That's
tall
maybe
soy
that.
milk. Yep. Okay, fair, fair. Okay, you can take over the asking questions. I just didn't really have answers, so I had
Oh,
to.
you're good. You're good. I didn't have a good answer for that either. I think it's a good sign that we're like not like, oh, this glaring thing,
Yeah.
age is the worst. We're like, I don't know. They reference cappuccinos a lot. I don't know. Some of those needle drops are obviously dated, but that goes with any show set at the time. If applicable, is there a scene that makes you ask, what would a real journalist have done differently?
Yes, and it is whenever she had not backed up an incriminating photo. Um, the real journalist would have either grabbed that sucker and made sure that she had it in the fire, or she would have backed it up. I understand it was 2001, but that was your one photo to prove a literal crime. Probably should have taken it to the police, but at the very least, she would have backed that up.
I feel like it should be on still on the camera's memory card. She clearly had it on the computer because she was putting it into to layout in the design program. I'm also a super like newspaper design geek, which nobody else really cares about. Like it's the one thing for sure nobody wants to do when they grow up. I want to design newspapers, but I know way too much about that field. And so I was also just saying, like, is she using InDesign? Is she using Quark? Is she using Publisher? But it should still be on her camera. It's not like the whole office was ruined. They're standing there 5 minutes later, really after the commercial break, with no firefighters,
But she's like,
no
no, it's
police,
gone. And I'm like, yeah,
no. It's not the next day because they're wearing the same clothes. Clark is still in his
oh no,
like
it's the same game.
t-shirt jersey thing.
Yeah.
So, isn't her camera still lying around? Is it one of the few things that got caught on fire? Did we see it catch on
For
fire?
check, she would have been like, we're gonna find someone who's in there somewhere in that school who can recover that file. But
Her
she
beautiful
she didn't.
iMac is ruined though with the
I mean, it is pretty
bright
cool.
colors.
Yeah, I would trade what I have, at least like my second screen, for something like that. It's just so cute.
When I worked as a college student in the college newspaper, that's still what iMacs looked like, and they were just so colorful. They looked like gummy bears disguised as computers, and it was beautiful. So I was really sad to see it catch on fire. But yeah, she should back up the one photo. Also, she should just take a bunch. It's one of the things I always tell my students. You go to a basketball game, you're there for an hour and a half, you take 3 photos, one of them's okay, two of them are bad. What are you doing?
Like a million,
So,
especially because she's not shooting film, like it's digital. So
right.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
She's
man, I
ahead of
have.
the curve though in
Yeah,
2001 to be shooting digital.
yeah, that's true.
Good good for her. But yeah, back up your photos, kids. Next, let's talk about not the physical wall of weird, which does survive. At first I thought, well, this is how they redesigned the wall of weird. You remember last time we talked about how it was different than you remember. I thought, oh, well, if it gets caught in the fire, she's got to move it to a different wall or they redesigned the newspaper office. No, looks like 90% of the wall of weird seemed to survive the fire just fine. But I thought for a second it was going to be the answer to your continuity question.
No. But our wall of weird question that we have is, what mystery deserves further investigation? Okay, and this isn't overarching, but it comes back to us talking about the principal being a jerk before, not principal, the coach being a jerk before.
Yeah.
What is the effect of kryptonite on these people's personalities? Because like Clark was only altered by red kryptonite. Is that because he's Superman? Like, why does it make these people like instant villains, but like some of them are curable villains? Like some of them probably would go to a psych ward for a little bit and then leave. Some of them probably deserve to be in the psych ward or jail for the rest of their life. Like, I want to know the actual effects on the brain chemistry.
Hmm. Yeah. There's the, there's no real answer to that. Meanwhile, Lana, except for this episode, makes a big deal of like, oh, I'm not wearing my necklace. I have to wear the work uniform. That's their way around that. But she's wearing the necklace all the time. She's fine,
Yeah.
we
Well,
think.
why didn't she become a meteor freak?
Yeah, I don't know. I think the other mystery that deserves some investigation is why is there no investigation into the principal's car exploded in the parking lot on a random weeknight? That's an investigation right there. Doesn't matter that the coach caused it. Doesn't matter that there's a kryptonite sauna. Just, hey, what happened there, Principal Kwan?
Also, were there no burn marks in the football field after the fire sprinklers?
Nope.
Yeah. There are a lot of questions. I have more questions than answers after this episode.
Yeah, me too. I was sort of thrown by that, honestly, because obviously when you're watching the show, when it's on television, you watch one a week. We're watching it, and I guess slightly faster than that in some regard. But it feels like at some point there should be a massive investigation of everything that's going on.
Hold on. Yep.
Also, I have a lot of football eligibility questions that I am not connected enough to have the answer. But I'm pretty sure if like seven of your players or eight, I don't remember how many it was, are cut from the team because they are, ineligible, they cheated on the midterm. You can't just get seven new guys to sign up for football before the last game of the season. Like, I think you have to use the roster and maybe the JV roster that you already have. You can't be like, we got to find seven more good players. It's like, no, that's when Pete actually would get to play, is after seven people lose their spot. Like, Pete should be happy that maybe now he gets a chance to be a starting player or
Yeah.
to play a better position,
Yeah.
than, tackle or something. I don't know. I don't know. I just feel like it's weird that they're just like, let's just recruit Clark.
New team. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. Talking about the Wall of Weird, as we continue to rank the Wall of Weird, we're now in episode 3 of the show. Is Coach Arnold more memorable than Scarecrow Jeremy from the pilot?
Nah. Nah. The only
Okay,
thing he had going
then
for him was his anger.
then the next question is not really necessary. Is he more memorable than Bug Boy?
No.
Obviously not. It's still Bug Boy.
Yeah. Yeah. Bug Boy. He. Yeah. Bug Boy, pilot guy because he was a scarecrow, and then this guy. Yeah.
Hothead coach, a distant third in your mind?
Yeah. Distant though.
In in my mind, because the Wonder Years, which this guy was like the dad on the Wonder Years before he was guest star in Smallville, is the first show that I remember a character having an inner monologue, and that really fascinated me as like a 5-year old or a 4-year old or whenever I watched it for the first time. Um, because I thought the voices in my head were unique to me. And I was like, oh, look, Kevin is thinking things and his mouth isn't moving and he's processing what's going on. And I can hear his thoughts because it's a TV show. So the Wonder Years holds up for me as a very special place in my memory because it's the first time I realized other people have dialogue in their head. And I thought it was just a unique thing for like 4-year-old me to have. And I
I
was like,
did.
oh, good, I'm not crazy. It's normal.
I
Everybody,
thought I just assumed everyone did until I learned not everyone did, and I still don't understand how they think without
right.
like
Maybe
I
they don't.
like how do you have a thought? Like your thought.
So, all that to say, I was so excited when this aired, and now to be like, it's the dad from the Wonder Years, who I think's name is Arnold in that show as well. But yeah, not memorable. I think except in my mind, except for casting. Yeah, I think third is where we're gonna rank him. Moving on. What is the best quote from the episode?
Um, I I have three. None of them are profound. Ranked in order. Actually, I'm adopted. Number one. Actually, I'm
There's
adopted.
some legitimately funny lines in this episode.
Number two would be the. By the way, tell your sister I said hi. And then number three is Hence I'm in a Crap Factory in Smallville. Yep, that's all I got. That's the most profound ones, and but they are memorable.
They
Crap
are.
Factory is so memorable that it was in your subconscious. So
Yeah, yeah. Um, for me, it's the line that I already gushed about earlier, where Jonathan says, "Son, I'm happy when you wake up in the morning." But my real vote for favorite line is when they are. Um, it's just Lex and Clark, and they are at the beanery. Lana has left, and Clark says, "Is that what you ordered?" And it's this real like whipped cream heavy cherry on top, real goofy looking drink, and Lex just looks at the cup and says, "Not even close." I lost it. It's like you guys should be in a sitcom. This is the show I want to watch. Just say funny stuff.
you
And
know,
it's not really the show I want to watch, but it's like, oh, you guys can do
yeah,
comedy. This is
yeah,
great.
they
So,
can. I mean, have we watched the other podcasts where they literally are doing that?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it's good. It's good. And then I really wondered what that drink was because I don't really drink a lot of coffee. So I was like, that looks like a ridiculous drink. So I'm glad it's not what Lex ordered.
He seems more sophisticated.
Yeah, he's just happy to be out of the factory. He's working remotely.
Yeah.
Got all his folders, sipping his
Making these like really important
cappuccino,
personnel decisions from a public place, as you're totally allowed to do.
and nobody from the factory is going to come in and be like, "Oh, why is my picture on that table, Mr. Luther?" Well, I was thinking about firing Richard. Like,
And
I
now
don't
that I
know.
saw you, we made it weird, so I guess I won't.
You're gonna go in the keeper
Hey.
pile. Thanks for coming to the beanery. I don't know. Um, we turn next to Kent Farm Wisdom. What does this episode teach us about character, hope, responsibility, faith, and or truth?
Okay, you're gonna love this one as a
Oh,
dad.
good. Oh, good.
There's two,
I'm
and they are
ready. I'm
tied.
ready.
One, your parents might actually be smarter than you think. Jonathan's concerns were very valid. You can't accidentally break a kid's neck because he rammed into you in football. Also, I think it teaches that if you want to make your own decisions, you have to be prepared to live with your mistakes.
Yeah.
Because Clark was going to be all independent, and then he could have seriously hurt someone. Lana quit something she had liked her entire life. What if once you're off, you can't get back on? And even as Lex is sitting here processing what he was gonna do, are you really gonna cross Lionel Luther? Like that's your choice? You better be prepared to live with that mistake if it is a mistake, like running the crap factory into the ground.
I
Okay,
think
that's
I think those are good. I would add that we learned from this episode, at least from Jonathan, that it's okay to change your mind. And we see, Lana embrace change and Clark embrace change, but also that your parents can be wrong as well.
yeah.
And we see that from Lionel and Lex, and we see that for Jonathan at the end, kind of coming around to the idea of Clark, at least perhaps playing football. So I think that's a good lesson too.
There.
So you get some of both. If you're looking
Both
for
sides of the coin.
yeah, so if you want this episode to affirm your parenting, we gotcha. If you want this episode to say, hey, you don't know everything, chill, we gotcha. I think you can take away both easily from this episode.
True.
And finally, Mariah, we come to our last segment of Torch Talk. Smallville Season 1, Episode 3, Hothead. Does it get a thumbs up or a thumbs down?
I really loved Clark in this one. I love it anytime Clark has a tude, so it gets two thumbs up from me.
Yeah. I thought
What
I
about
thought
you,
this was
Jeremiah?
I thought this was great. I thought, quite honestly, I was liking it and not loving it until that last scene where I realized, oh, this is where they scream. Okay, this is thumbs up for sure. It was probably going to get a thumbs up anyway, but that like sealed my vote. Like
Mhm. Yep,
that's
that scene, iconic.
That's one of the things I remember most about this entire season, really honestly about the entire show, if we want to get technical, is that scene. And so yeah, the football stuff is interesting. It's visually stunning. Everybody gets something to do in this episode except for Pete. But I think if the prior 45 minutes had been trash, I still probably would have been like, you know what, it ends on a good note. I like it.
Yep. Yep, that's
That's how
fair.
much I like the ending.
Yeah, that's fair. It's a cute scene.
Yeah. And And unfortunately, we don't see Clark stand up for himself very much for the rest of the season. So you need to hang on to this moment and be
I
like,
will.
look at
I
him
will. Mhm.
speaking his truth and fighting for his own hopes and dreams. And he lets a lot of that go over the course
Also,
of.
I totally think Clark was wrong, but I don't even care. Like, it's a very nuanced because like Clark was being a little jerk, and also, wow, be a little jerk more. Like, that's all I got.
Is he really into that?
Yeah, yeah. Apparently.
Well, now you can watch it back anytime. That's the beauty of Smallville. You can just go right to that scene and go right on.
Like, yep. The best I get, I get like red kryptonite Clark. So,
Yeah, it's coming.
yeah, it is, but not soon enough.
Yeah, it's not soon enough. Wow. Okay. Um, well, on that note, because what a note to end on. We're not going to get anything better than that.
This is true.
We want to thank you for listening to Torch Talk or watching Torch Talk, a Smallville Rewatch podcast. You can find us anywhere you find podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Amazon, and so many other places. If you look for a podcast, search for Torch Talk, you'll probably find us. If you want to reach out, you can message us on the gram at Smallville Rewatch, and you can email us at Smallville Rewatch at yahoo.com.